The host is not allowing participants to
अच्छा,
unmute themselves.
मी बोलतो मी गौरवशी बोलतो, तुम्हाला अनम्यूट करतो.
हॅलो सर. वैभव सर.
हा बोला ना सर.
अनम्यूट कोणाला करायचं?
हे आपले काय म्हणतात प्रशांत मंदीकर सर आहेत ना, त्यांना अनम्यूट करा. ते होस्ट येतात, म्हणजे त्यांचं सेशन आहे आज.
केलं सिलेक्शन.
सर आहेत ना ऑनलाईन?
सरांना कोर्स बनवलं सर मी.
सरांनी बनवलं का कोर्स?
हो.
प्रशांत सर, तुम्ही अनम्यूट आहात?
हो हो झालंय. माझा आवाज येतोय का?
हो, तुमचा आवाज एकदम क्लिअर येतोय सर. तर मी ओपन करू का सेशन आता?
2-3 मिनिट द्या मला, थोडी सूचना द्या.
बरं ठीक आहे, तोपर्यंत मी प्रेझेंटी कव्हर करतो.
हो चालेल चालेल.
All students is requested that they should have to put their presentee into the message box. It is our regular practice. And within 5 to 10 minutes, we will start today's session. Today's session is related with the English subject. And Mr. Prashant sir will guide us for that. I think 63 participant has joined the classroom today. I have unmute participants before the meeting. If they have any queries or questions, so they can ask. I am available for that. The mic is open for everyone. If somebody wants to ask any question, they can ask before the session. Respected research scholars, if you have any problem or any queries, you can ask me. Your mic are open before the session. Okay.
Good morning to you, sir. Hello.
Okay. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. Okay.
Prashant sir,
Yeah.
can we start, sir?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
If you, with your permission.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Good morning, all and everyone. Can I am audible? Please respond me.
Good morning, sir. You are audible.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So today's our session will conducted by the Prashant Mahadev Manikar sir. Sir has completed his post graduation into English. Sir is NET qualified person with SET also, and sir has also completed MBA in HR. Sir's designation is Professor and Head, PG Research Department of English and Vice Principal, Dayanand College of Arts, Latur. Sir's specialization is British literature, American literature, and European and other non-British literatures, Indian literature in English, literary theory and criticism. Sir has teaching experience of 24 years, including UG and PG level. Sir has a research supervisor, 5 scholars has registered for a PhD degree, and one person has awarded PhD under his guidance. Sir is BOS member in Swami Ramananda Tirth Marathwada University at Nanded. Even sir is BOS member of Walchand College, Autonomous College, Solapur also. And sir is right now vice principal of respected institute, director of IQAC also, and head head English department, PG Research Center Department of English since from 2009. This is the short introduction with Prashant sir. And I would like to special thanks from my side, even HRD section and my university also, because on a sudden moment he has accepted to do the presentation. He is not supposed to do the presentation today, but on our request, he is ready to do that. So I special thanks for his convenience about the session, and he can start right now.
Okay.
So you can start.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Good morning to all. At the outset,
Good
I would
morning,
like,
sir.
yeah, thank you. At the outset, I would like to thank the course coordinator, Professor Mustajib Khan, sir, Dr. Vaibhav Wadrkar, and his colleagues. All the participants, I could see some 88 participants are there who have joined this session.
The participant will join participant will join as early as possible.
No, it's all right. There are 88 already.
Right now, it is more than 120 students are there.
Okay. Would be very happy.
So you can take your time, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, you can take your own time.
Yeah, sure. Has the access been given to all the participants so that they could chat, interact, ask questions?
Yes, everyone's mic is unmuted, sir. They can ask question directly to you.
Yeah, okay.
Even in your lecture, if they have any problem, they can ask you directly. I have unmuted everyone.
Okay. Thank you so much. As it has been introduced, it has been a sudden arrangement, stopgap arrangement. It's all right. We will not go into those details. I would share the PPT, which is not incomplete in its respect, but it will be useful. Moreover, you might be having a few lectures already on research methodology and the issues concerned with research. So it would be a kind of interactive session, because while doing our research, there are many practical issues which go beyond the books, which go beyond certain norms, rules. So we'll take into account those practical points, practical issues as well. Since you have joined the pre-PhD course, I suppose you have just started. Whether your topics have been finalized or not, I have no idea. So any one of you can just answer. Has the topic been finalized?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, because here in our university, when you register for PhD, there is RAC, all of us know, research allocation, guide allocation actually. And then they are supposed to complete the pre-PhD course. And after that, there is RRC. And then they select the topic. So if your topics have been finalized by RRC, then it is a very good time for you to go through such kinds of courses. That is pre-PhD course. We call it workshop, pre-PhD course on research methodology. I think there is paper of research ethics as well. Is it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And one more of computer that we should be having those. We must be friendly with those kinds of devices. Okay. I will just begin with the PPT that I made just now within maybe half an hour, because I couldn't get that much time as it was scheduled for tomorrow. But with those points that I have with me and the queries and issues that you have, we will start with our session. Is it okay that it should go in English or in between?
Yes, you will go with the English, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. So there is no, no need of switching to other language, that is Marathi or Hindi.
So if you feel comfortable with multilingual, it is okay, sir, because students are available in different languages also. Especially students are foreign students are also into it. So if you go with the English language is okay, and if you want to use Hindi, Marathi, it is okay.
I will go with English.
Okay,
And
sir.
those who want to ask questions, they may ask in Marathi or Hindi. That's not an issue. So
Okay.
can
Okay.
to them as well. Or if anybody wishes to get that point explained in Marathi or Hindi, then I'll try.
Okay, sir.
Share the screen. Is it?
You can share, sir. from
no.
your side.
Just a minute.
Yes, sir. We can see your screen, sir. We can see your PPT, sir.
Well, now all of us, some have completed their degree, that is Doctor of Philosophy, we call it PhD. And those who have joined this course, they are aiming for this. Now, all subjects, irrespective of their discipline, have a common degree, that is Doctor of Philosophy. So let us go with these words, and so that we will be right on the track. As you could see, this is a combination of these two Greek words. Sophia is wisdom, and philos is the love. So any person who is the lover of wisdom, who falls in love with wisdom, falls in love with knowledge, pursues it, is a person interested in philosophy. So the word philosophy is not just from the humanities or social sciences. That is very clear to us now. So when we talk about the love of wisdom in a specific way, in a scientific manner, not just because I like it. So when I say I like something, that is the valuation I'm doing. But when somebody asks me why I like this, or I have to suo moto, that is on my own, give the reasoning for that, then I answer the question why I like what I like. With this question why, what starts is inquiry. Because generally we are told that necessity is the mother of invention. But if we think very closely about it, then we will understand that there are many necessities. There have been many necessities, but only because necessity was there, inventions were not there. So the mother of invention, discovery, is not necessarily necessity, it is curiosity. And whenever we had been curious about something, when we want to know the why of something, we start with an inquiry. And this inquiry starts because you love knowledge, because you love wisdom. So any lover of wisdom is going for a degree in philosophy, and the highest degree we call is the Doctor of Philosophy. The person uh, who is in love of the knowledge, who is in love of the wisdom. And moreover, when we talk about wisdom, it is slightly different from knowledge. Knowledge is knowing the things. We have all perceptions, sensory organs, they work, we come to know. But wisdom is knowledge of using knowledge. Whatever we have accumulated, acquired, how we put it to practice, uh, that is what wisdom is. Now, with this entails, what you could see here, this is what something that comes under philosophy. And you will see that this is how we relate to the notions of research, the concept of research, and the research methodology. What philosophy is a systematic study of ideas and issues that we are supposed to do when we carry out research. It is a reasoned pursuit of fundamental truths, a quest for comprehensive understanding of the world, a study of principles of conduct that comes into ethics, like morality. So this in general is what philosophy is. And since all of us are aiming at the doctorate of philosophy, we should know that we are going on this track. What this systematic study is, and that's why we need a methodology. Disturbance. Okay. Unless you want to ask the questions, my request is please mute yourself, your microphones. Something that starts in the field of systematic study begins with observation. And there had been ample examples. A person with keen observation will go into seeking something, finding something, because the very meaning of the word research, which we will come to, is to seek something, to find something. And we cannot find anything unless we are observing. So keen observations are there. And what we observe is any phenomena, either in the nature or in the human nature. For those who are carrying research in language and literature, for those who are carrying research in humanities, let us say, if you are carrying research in language and literature, in culture, in theory, that is literary theory or criticism, we are very much concerned with the human nature. If we are doing with the natural sciences, then we are concerned with the nature outside. But whichever branch, whichever discipline of our study is, the basics of research is observation. What to observe, how to observe, and for what to observe. This observation of the phenomenon, either of the human beings or of the nature outside, only and only leads to our research problem. Because unless I specify what am I supposed to boil down, I cannot do and start my research. So the first step in systematic study is observation of the phenomena, which will lead to a particular research problem that we talk about. We say this is a research topic, or we say this is a thesis statement, etc. And then rest of the things follow. That once I have decided a problem area that I'm supposed to solve, for that I need patience, for that I need a lot of observations. And then this is what a common procedure in scientific discovery is, that you cannot come to a theorem on one or two occurrences in the object. There must be a recurrence of a particular phenomenon. How many times it comes, or in what quantity it comes. When we take the samples, for example, For that, what I have to do is I have to point them down. Simply, we call it data collection. Where it occurs, how it occurs, what is the frequency of it. And when you are making a systematic noting of all these things, that comes under data collection. With the data collection, and when you are satisfied that you have sufficient data related to a particular research problem, you go with the analysis. And this analysis ultimately results into what is known as thesis. The simple meaning of the word thesis is I state. And whenever I state something, I take the responsibility. So when I say I state this, and when I take responsibility for that, I must be able to defend myself with proofs and not with views. So when you present the thesis, as you could read here, thesis is a statement put forth for discussion or proof. So when you submit a report, what you call thesis, you have made a statement or a bunch of statements, and it is open for discussion. And we go into the open viva, where you present your statement, and then it is open for discussion. Those who have doubts about this, they would ask you the question, and after you satisfactorily answer them, the degree is awarded. These theses later on go into theorems, because theorem is a statement that has been proved. This is a procedure of research. This is a procedure of what is known as systematic study. From observation to theorem, what goes into research comes under the procedure of research or research methodology. The very word research, which has come from this French word, is to go about seeking. To seek means to find something, that we have seen in the previous slide. How to seek, how to find. Upon that depends what kind of study is being taken. For example, you are a bird watcher, or you are amateur theater going person, or you are something is hobby. You just want to collect a few things here and there, observe them, but you are not very methodic about them. You do it for, say, for your own sake, for the sake of pleasure. You collect coins, but that's an hobby, that's not research. So anything that is considered to be to go about seeking is not research. If it is a studious inquiry, or it is a studious examination with all following all scientific procedures, then you are qualifying yourself to be called as a researcher. This investigation or experimentation is obviously aimed at one or the other kind of discovery. You very well know this word that is known as hypothesis. So I have predetermined something that is known as hypothesis, and my investigation or experimentation is aimed at the hypothesis. It is not binding upon me that I should prove the hypothesis, because proving hypothesis is not research. Carrying out the experimentation, carrying out the investigation, and then coming with the conclusion whether the hypothesis has been proved or hypothesis couldn't be proved. In both the cases, that is the research. So that also we have to keep in mind that even if you disprove your hypothesis with proper arguments, with proper evidences, with proper proofs, that also is research. Because uh, you have begun with a particular aspect in the mind. You thought that this is going to be there. But when I was doing the research, I too had these kinds of misconceptions rather. That if I have said something, I have to prove, and that is what the research is. If that had been, then that cannot be proper kind of research. What I mean to say is, just to suit our purpose, if we uh, hide certain facts when we'll be going into research ethics, we'll be having these things. Just because I have the hypothesis, and then I will collect only that data which supports my hypothesis. I may prove my point, but that won't be a research because what I have done is I have kept aside certain facts which go contrary to my hypothesis. But I have found them. I have found that data, I analyzed them, and then I found that it is exactly opposite of what I have thought. So what I do is I hide that data. I do not come with that data. I do not incorporate it into my thesis because I feel that I am uh, not proving my hypothesis. So this must be very clear to us that it's a research, and whatever comes out of data collection and analysis, out of facts, that has to be narrated, that has to be put, then and then only it will be beneficial for the society. Research also involves revision of accepted theories. So we talk about thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. So theories had been there. These theories had been revised. That also is research, especially in the light of new facts. Just to cite an example, Newton had been authority. And he said, whatever that theory of velocity you talk about, we are not experts in that. But one point was there that if you push the object, give it force, and it is nowhere obstructed, then it will go into one direction, unidirection. Einstein disproved it, saying that even in the space, even if no force is working on it, there are zigzag moments. And then you come with the quantum physics and this and that. Or the very simple example that all of us have studied here and there is what Plato said is not accepted by Aristotle. This his theory of ideas. When he said it is a copy of a copy of a copy, and Aristotle had something different to say about imitation. So even if something has been accepted for a while, but in the light of new facts, if revisions are required, and that we are doing it, that also is research. Something has been put forth, a theorem is there, theories are there, laws are there, but you are applying them in certain new contexts. As we say, that every research must have a research framework. Because at this stage, we are limiting ourselves to PhD only. At this stage, there is least possibility of any discovery and no possibility of invention. We are very clear about that. So at our level, what we are doing is a theory is there. Let us say if all of us are from humanities, then either there is a social theory, psychological theory, literary theory. You pick up that theory, apply it to certain texts, apply it to the certain social issues, Marxist, you say, feminist. So theorems have been there, you are applying them, that also is research. To be very clear, it is a creative and systematic work undertaken to increase the stock of knowledge. And one more addition is significant contribution to the existing stock of knowledge, even though it is not entirely new. But that significant contribution to the existing body of knowledge, existing stock of knowledge, that also is the part of research. Now, this is not the only research, because what we have to understand is either in criticism or in theory or any branch of knowledge, we should not assume that there is a final statement. For example, apex court is there, Supreme Court is there, and a final judgment is there. That never takes place in research. That's why revisions of theories are there, only for this reason that as the times change, as the laws change, as the circumstances change, there must be a revision of the accepted theories. So a research is ongoing process. It is not a closed book. That's why there is always a scope, because we are on the open road. The students of literary criticism, those who deal with post-structuralist and postmodernist theories or theories by Derrida of deconstruction, they would be having this idea that how we cannot have a closed meaning. Rather, we are living in the world of plurality of text, plurality of meaning, and we must be open enough to understand, accept the changes that take place. And that is what the aim of research is. Three very basic questions of whatever we have seen so far now. What to do, for what to do, and how to do what to do. If we ask these three questions to ourselves, then we are answering the questions pertaining to what is known as research. What to do is probably you have finalized up to this time. You have observed some phenomena. You have selected your topic. It has been approved by the Research and Recognition Committee, and you are working on them. Much thought might have gone before you have selected a topic. Much observation might have taken place. You might have taken the review of literature, rest of the things that you are already familiar with. The next question is for what to do. Whatever you are doing, there could be many practical purposes. You want a degree because that degree would open some channels for employment, because that is necessity, because there is pure love of wisdom or knowledge. So you would be answering these questions to yourselves, that what is the raison d'etre? For what reasons I am doing what I am doing? If I am very clear about the reasons, then research becomes fun. Research becomes joy. If I am not very clear about it, then you get stuck up. These are some practical problems, because I have some students and for the last 8 years, they are researching, and every time they come, they say, well, we are still studying it and we have not put it anything in life. Some lose interest after some time. Some feel that, well, instead of this topic, another dimension should have been taken. But these things carry no meaning once you have initiated and once you have set the ball rolling. So for what to do, this is something that uh, you must be convinced about. That also goes with the ethics. That also goes with the fruition of the work. See, we are, I mean, all of us, especially you people are putting the golden years of your life. It is not just the amount of money that you are spending the most valuable time, and that is an investment. You are investing some 3 4 years of very productive years of your life into a work. You have devoted all your time, your energy, all your faculties of brain and mind into a particular cause. So you must be having uh, the outcome in mind. The last question is how to do what to do. And that question answers what is known as the research methodologies. Now, this is a cliche, often told that the only problem in research is research problem. Otherwise, there is no problem. Once I am very clear about the problem of research, thesis statement, topic of research, and if it has been well thought, it will answer all other questions. Because when we defend our thesis in the Viva, the very first question is, why did you choose this topic? So we have done something 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and now we are asked, why did you choose this topic? You must have your defenses ready. That's why this open Viva voice is known as defense. So it's a well thought topic that has been selected out of the observation that we saw earlier. And if well beginning is half done, then if I have chosen a topic that is relevant, that is significant, which is not redundant, which is not a overstatement, which is not something that has been over researched. Newness is there because the very basic function of research is the contribution of something that is new, even though the stock of knowledge that exists, but your contribution is new. Once you have this research problem, then you go with the hypothesis. Initial stage, where you come with a statement that I feel this is going to be this is going to be researched. And accordingly, you go for literature review. This literature review is simply what achievements have been done up to now in this particular problem. So has anybody already researched it? If the topic has been researched in various other aspects, then what are their findings? What aspects have been chosen for the research? This will give you direction of not to do something that has been already carried out. It also shape our line of argument that even though the topic has been researched, but a particular aspect that you have chosen has not been and your topic, whatever topic you have selected. So review of literature is of utmost importance to know what kind of background study has been done, what elements have been researched over, and how you are going to bring something new which has been left unresearched, because the very meaning of research is to seek something that has not been uh, focused on earlier. That for what to do is what is known as raison d'etre, a reason for being. That what is the necessity of it, for what we are doing it, how it is going to help others, how it is going to be beneficial for society at large. And this raison d'etre leads to your objectives. So when you present your proposal for RRC, it is just a proposal. There you are supposed to mention objectives. And these objectives are really the framework of your research. At the end, your outcomes will be the fulfillment of objectives. This is what we know as planning, research design, etc. Now we come to the point of methodology. Methodology is simply how to do what to do. As you could see here, it is a way of explaining how a researcher intends to carry out their research. This is something that has to be set and mentioned earlier. For example, I want to collect data. Then in what way I'm going to do it? I have to analyze data. Then what is the procedure I'm going to follow? I want to collect some samples. Then what methods am I using? In what way the data will be analyzed and put forth? When you clinically mention it, systematically mention it, that is what research methodology is. The necessity is very clear that it is a logical, systematic plan to resolve a research problem. It talks about researchers' approach to the research to ensure reliable, valid results, etc. That you could read on your screen. So it is a way in of explaining to others, because others should know how you have come, how you have arrived to the particular points. And when I talk about, and when I'm very clear about how of why, because there had been three questions: what, why, and how. What is your research problem? Why is your raison d'etre? And how is your methodology? So we can summarize our entire research into these three questions of what, why, and how. Types of research, and accordingly, we have different methods of research. Two very basic types of research are qualitative and quantitative. I will not go into those details because it is quite very simple. Students, especially of humanities and languages, mostly the research is qualitative. But it doesn't mean that the quantity has not been taken into consideration. But maximum work is of qualitative nature. Whereas the scientific research, research in economics, is mostly quantitative research. So wherever the focus is based on quantity. It is quantitative research, where you are talking about moods, attitudes of people, changes in their habits, psychological issues, the ways of behavior, changes in behavior, etc. That is the qualitative research. Now, wherever qualitative research is, it is a sort of argumentation, what we call comment. The simplest definition of criticism is that it is a comment upon comment. And we have gone far into this area of comment. For example, when I say something based on my observation, it's a comment. And then all of us, especially in philosophy, especially in social sciences, humanities, and languages, are concerned with one issue, and that is known as truth. We ask what is truth. Then we come to the point, what is the truth? We go into inquiry. We go into research. And then, as we go on reading, we come to know that there are only opinions. And opinions backed by power could be called as truth. But that is not an absolute truth. There can be no the truth. And then we say that the only truth is that there is no the truth. There could be many truths. That is what plurality of text is. That is what plurality of meaning is. And that's why research is possible. Had there been only something that is known as absolute meaning is there, absolute truth is there. There is no question of research, because no alternative argument is possible. Research is possible only when there is scope for the contradiction of opinions. That the base of research is we must agree to disagree. We must understand that there are other points of view as well. If it is a closed book, if something comes to us as an absolute, that this is what the only possible meaning of the text, this is what the only possible meaning of this comment is, then there is no question of having any comments over comments. When we carry out qualitative research, we understand that there are multiplicity of possibilities. It is just like going the light, passing the rays of light from a prism, and it comes into multicolors. That happens in qualitative research. It is very difficult to prove something in the laboratory, because society itself is a laboratory. Human mind is a laboratory. So it has its own issues to deal with as far as qualitative research is concerned. Okay. In quantitative research, still there is a possibility of having comments or comments, but there are certain facts which have been accumulated in terms of concrete base, concrete facts. And this kind of research, quantitative research, requires certain tools and techniques like sampling, like surveys, like interviews, maybe digits and facts. Accordingly, according to the types of research, that is, there could be case study, there could be action report, need-based research, experimental research, or there could be the mixed method research of involving both the quantitative data and the qualitative analysis that comes out of it. Certain methods of research like observation, surveys, interviews, focus groups, experiments, secondary data analysis, archival study, etc. As per our research problem, as per our topic of research, we might be choosing one or the other or multiple types of methods in research. So our topic of research determines either one type of method, way of method, or multiple methods that involve when you come at the conclusion of your research or when you carry out the research. Now, rest of the topics you will find that there are just points because I was supposed to do it and bring it tomorrow. But anyway, these are, even though you see it blank, but there are many things that probably you know. We will just have a recap of that and then we will discuss. A research design is a roadmap of our research.
खाने का है अभी स्कूल लेट हो जाएगा
Please unmute, please mute yourself. Yeah. Research design involves all those aspects that we have studied, that we have seen. That is choosing the topic, that is research topic, to the citations, to the report writing. So you will be having the research problem, you will be having hypothesis testing, data collection, where you have primary data and secondary data. We talk about sources of data, then tabulation of data, classification of data, selection of data, data analysis. And after the data analysis has been done, you are going for the report writing, what we call the thesis writing. While writing the report, we are supposed to follow the methodology, the method of writing the draft, writing the report. Either Modern Language Association or American Association, whatever has been the accepted norm of your university, you are following those procedures in drafting the thesis. The most important aspect while drafting the thesis is citations. In-text citations are there. Nowadays, we don't have the page notes. That is, after every page, earlier there used to be notes. We just have end notes now and then the bibliography. So how to cite? For that, you require the recent edition of MLA handbook, where citations and the methods of citations have been given. If we do not follow these methods of citations, then it could become a problem while the thesis is being evaluated. So how to cite the primary sources, secondary sources, how to cite if the book is written by one author or if it is written by two authors, if it is written by more than 3 or 4 authors, then what is the procedure? How to quote and put the entry at in the end notes, and how to carry all these end notes into bibliography with the primary sources and secondary sources. These are certain things which are involved in the research design. We have already talked about this data collection and data analysis and the citations. Let's talk about the ethics of research. Ethical research is simply what to do and what we are not supposed to do while doing the research. The first and foremost point is that something that is known as integrity of the researcher. Simply the word is research integrity. Integrity is being true to oneself, being true to the data that we are collecting or we have collected, and a conscious putting forth of the data. As a researcher, we are not supposed to be very selective in the sense that whatever is beneficial to me, or for that matter, if my research is sponsored one, whatever is beneficial for my organization, only that data I will represent. Whatever is not beneficial for my organization or for my research, I will hide that data. Now, in this situation, this is not the integrity, that I am not ethical in my research. I am becoming an opportunistic person and then presenting something that suits either my own points of view or it is going to be beneficial for one section. That is not research integrity. Another point in research integrity is honesty is something that is known as plagiarism. It is a theft. It is stealing something, and stealing simply defined is claiming something which is not ours. These shortcuts in research, these shortcuts are what is known as Control C and Control X, that is copy paste. Either it has been directly resourced or the ideas have been taken and they have been put as your own without giving proper credit to the person to whom these ideas really belong to. If you give proper credit to that person, that is known as citations. If credit has not been given, then that is what plagiarism is. We must avoid these outsourcing of data. Outsourcing is, well, I should not, openly talk about, but there are many corrupt practices that take place in research. Maybe somebody is writing it, or we are just having somebody's research that was done earlier, but it is not available either in print or not available in the digital media. We are talking about, for example, research that has taken place if it is like our topic, somewhere in 1980s, 1990s,
कार्यक्रम नसताना
this kind of
12-13 वर्ष
Okay, okay. Am I audible, sir? Hello? Hello, Dr. Zadke, am I audible? Hello? Okay, okay, thank you. Thank you. Well, now there are certain questions that come with the notion of plagiarism. People ask, what if whatever we have quoted, cited, has been duly cited? It's something that would be still called plagiarism. We have to understand that is what we talk about research integrity. Let us ask a question to ourselves. We steal something and we tell the owner that we are going to steal it. So can we go with this argument that I have been honest enough? I told the possessor of these goods that I am going to steal it, and I took it by force. And that's why it is not stealing at all. That could be a logic, but that is a false logic. That is, we must be practically. For example, on one page, how many citations can be there? That in one page, 10, 12 citations are there, and in between, 1 or 2 lines of the researcher are there. Now, in that case, that also is a kind of plagiarism, simply because the researcher has nothing to say of his own. What he is doing is, he is taking multiple sources, multiple citations, and putting them. Now, researcher's job is not to put what others have said. Researcher's job is to prove his point by 1 or 2 arguments, 1 or 2 citations. If pages after pages, only quotations are there, pages after pages, citations are there, that cannot be considered research. And this we have to keep in mind. Sometimes what happens is we are neither citing the proper citation, but we are translating them, translating the ideas in our own language. And then when you are supposed to take that plagiarism report before you submit your thesis, you find that it is more than 20%, it is more than 30%. And then you don't understand that how come that all the words have been taken, and how come this has happened that my report carries some 30% plagiarism. That happens because even though you have put something in your own words, but those ideas, those words cannot be entirely changed. Moreover, there is no continuity in the argument. What I mean to say is, when you take a particular argument and when it is read, when citations come in between, and if these citations are not relevant, or whatever you have put in before your citation and after the citation, whatever argument you are going to carry, if it does not match, it becomes a problem, in the sense that one who is going to assess your thesis is not able to understand your point of view, because research is basically a researcher's point of view. That we have to understand first. Research is not accumulation and collection and presentation of data. Data supports my argument. Data supports my point of view. And that researcher's point of view, that researcher's identity that researchers idea of what he wishes to present has to be reflected in every argument. Because very first word we have seen about thesis is I state. And when I state, when I take the responsibility, it is a well-researched argument. Either to support my argument, either to prove my argument, or to disprove my argument, I am using certain citations, certain texts, certain points that others have made. But others' points, their research is not my research. So uh, a cut practice like this uh, would be a failure on our part as a researcher. Others may not have found it out, but at least we are convinced that we have not done that. And when I am convinced that I have not properly carried out this reflects in my personality as well. Then we are not a person with integrity. So ethics is to be very right, to be very conscientious about ourselves. All of us know what is right, all of us know what is wrong, and when we choose not to commit something that is wrong, we are on the ethical practice. Certain slicing, salami slicing is a word we'll find. Now, what has happened is, even though it is your research, for example, you did it for MPhil. Now, what you are doing is, you are cutting that your research into different parts and making 10 essays out of it, 10 papers out of it. Or my PhD work is going on, and out of that, I make certain articles, research articles. Now, what happens is the same kind of data goes into every article. That also is a kind of plagiarism. Because what I am doing is, whatever my data is, I am presenting it for MPhil. I am carrying the same kind of data for my PhD. I am carrying the same kind of data for my research articles. And then when you present your case as a researcher for some other kinds of benefits, let's say the employment, etc., there comes the issue that the book is of the same title, thesis is of the same title, articles are carrying the same kinds of titles, same kind of information. So this is something that doesn't go with the research ethics. Falsification of data and misinterpretation of data. That it has again to do with integrity of the researcher. Falsification is the data has been misrepresented. The data collection was right, but it has been used in such a way that it just suits your purpose, but it doesn't benefit the society at large. This falsification of data and misrepresentation of data is the bad practices in research. That is not the ethical behavior that's being talked about. The hiding of data also is one such concept, that you had been very true in your research, but certain data is not beneficial, not for the society, but for your research organization, if it has been funded research. It may lead to certain serious consequences. We are not talking about the research in humanities and languages, but specifically researches in pharmacy, research in medical sciences, where it is really related to the health of people And if such kinds of research practices go into, for example, falsification of data, misrepresentation of data, withholding of data, that you have collected it, but you withhold it and you don't present it, don't represent it because it is not going to be beneficial. That also leads to the unethical practices in research as such. After our research is over, we are asked certain questions. And one of the questions is, what is the utility of your research? Now, this utility simply means the social relevance of our research, the utility of research. In one word, who is the beneficiary of research? And there, we are stuck because probably in the process, we have not thought over the ultimate or end user of research. Other than me as a researcher, other than me, who is the beneficiary of research? For whom my research is going to be beneficial? What he or she or society at large will take out from my research? That there are certain ends to my research that I know. For example, it is a basic degree, either to become a scientist. It is a basic degree to become a professor. It would be necessary for my career advancement scheme. I could become associate professor. For becoming professor, it is necessary. For having employment in the university is necessary. Your purposes are served. You are the beneficiary. But the question is, apart from you, who are the other people, who are the other segments who will be benefited by your research? For example, a person was dropped out from the school and a letter was written to his mother that uh, your son is so dumb, we cannot accept him in the school. And his mother read that same letter to him. She said, you are so brilliant, your school cannot afford you. Now this person, who has been a very curious person, he could spend 48 hours in just knowing how the chickens hatch out of eggs. People might have called him fools, obviously, because he is wasting his time. But he said, I want to see the exact point where it breaks. So that patience is there. Of course, people called him fool. Just imagine that a person who has been dropped from school is wasting his time just to know at what point the egg breaks and the chickens hatch out of it. But maybe because of his curiosity, because of his patience, because of his observation, such person was able, after 990 experiments, to come with one last experiment that gave us light. We are talking about Thomas Alva Edison. Now, that is what observation, that is what patience is. And that is what the utility of research is. Now, can anybody ask Thomas Alva Edison a question? Who is the beneficiary of your research? No, because all of us are. A person who just wanted to know how to solve number of issues, number of infections, he went with the penicillin, came with those kinds of ideas. People might, for all people, this might have been experienced. It was not just for James Watt. That scheme has power. that many things could be done out of it. If we take these examples for us and apply a bit of it, an ounce of it, because all of us know that certain researches which carry out in our academia, they do not have the larger purpose to serve. Ironically, it is said there are only two people who read the thesis. One, you yourself, and another one who is supposed to assess your thesis. Apart from that, who reads the thesis? Is it worthy enough to be read? Is it going to at least solve one problem of others? Is it going to bring one ray of hope to others? We must think over it. That apart from what mercenary benefits we have, but how my research is going to help others in one way or the other. Action research do, field works do, problem-based research do. Because immediately a problem comes up. For example, we are facing corona, and then you need one or the other kinds of solutions for that. That research is a worthy research, of course. So one word we have to be very specific with ourselves is research worthiness. What is the worth of my research? How it is going to contribute? How it is going to be beneficial to at least some sections of society? Now you would say how it is possible in humanity, how it is possible in languages, how it is possible in literature. There are certain issues that we need to know, but we must have this in our mind. Then and then only we will be able to enjoy our work. That at the larger end, my work, my research work is going to be beneficial for certain sections of society. And it should increase the spectrum of the people, not for one group, not for another group, but for most of the people. Because we talk about the maximum benefit of the maximum. Your one idea, your one theorem, your one solution could be a breakthrough idea for the generations to come. When we write the conclusion part of our thesis, you are supposed to include two very important points. One is the limitations of your research, and the second one is further research or future research. The limitations of research talk about the aspects that you wanted to cover, but because of the scope of a topic that you have taken, even though you have collected a lot of data, but you could not incorporate it simply because it was not in the scope of your topic. So whatever you could not include in your research is the limitations of research. And whatever other researchers could further contribute into that topic, that is the further research. So these two aspects must be the part of your conclusion. The limitation of your research and the further research, further scope of research. This is possible when there is extensive data collection. And you find that these are certain issues which are very important as far as your topic is concerned. But because of certain limitations of the scope, because earlier you have talked about objective scope of your research. So this is the topic that I have selected. But I find that through my research, I come to know that this is larger than what I expected. This canvas is very large one, and I could not incorporate everything into it. But other researchers are there, future researchers are there. Those who go through my thesis, they will come to know that these are certain issues that could be further explored. So your thesis will be a guide for the future researchers. So technically, when we talk about research design, and when we talk about the report writing, thesis writing, you should be including uh, these certain points. That is your hypothesis, your objectives, your literature review, most importantly, research methodology. Whether it is descriptive research, analytical research, library research, field study, survey methods, sampling, what it is that you have done. It must be the part of your thesis. And then the proper presentation and chapterization. Probably your research supervisors you must have discussed them, these issues with your research supervisors as well. That it must have a proper chapterization scheme. It must have conclusion, and conclusion should include these two very important aspects, that is your limitations of research and the further research. Then comes the bibliography, that is a general structure of your thesis is. Does language matter? And the answer is yes. We call it academic writing. It is a matter of practice. It is a matter of, once again, integrity. What happens while going through the research, reading research is certain lines differ from on one page. I'm now talking about certain practical issues, problems in when you go through the research. When you means either you are supervisor, internal referee, or external referees. When they go through research, they find that first paragraph is there, its language is different. Second paragraph is there, its language is different. Now, within a paragraph, sentences differ. I mean, its tone, its structure. And it happens because it is a combination of multiple sources. Certain lines have been taken as it is from other sources. Then you become a filler, you fill in between a few lines. And then you will find that if you read your own chapters, you will find that somehow that logical argumentation is lacking. One idea does not connect with another idea. One sentence does not connect with another sentence. Certain sentences, because they have been opted as they are from other sources, it does not match the flow and continuity of your argument. This matters a lot in drafting a research. Data collection, data analysis is a different part. That is the part of research. But when you start writing your research, if it does not come from a flow, if it does not come from the argument, then you lack what is known as cohesiveness in the research. It does not become a read-worthy research. Those who are reading it, they do not enjoy reading your thesis simply because there are breaks, cuts. The continuity is broken. You begin with one idea, and then there is no illustration of that idea. There is no elucidation of idea. To this we call style of writing. Whether that style is logical, whether it is argumentative, whether it is convincing the others, whether it is just putting the fact, whether one who is reading it enjoys the reading, because after one idea is over, and when you switch over to another idea, whether that gap has been from switching from one idea to another idea, whether that gap has been properly put, because we have to understand that we are writing for others, not for ourselves. When we write a thesis, when we write a report, we are writing so that others are reading it. And in the words of technical words of literature, it is known as implied reader. When I write, for example, I said for what to do it, for whom to do it. Am I writing it for myself? Am I writing it for my research supervisor? Am I writing it for the external referee? No. I am writing it for a general public. The general readers are there. They are supposed to read it. So whether you are a writer or a researcher, whether you are writing a research article or thesis, there is implied reader, that some people are there and they are supposed to read it. These readers must get that continuity. These readers must get that informative sources from your text. So how to keep that that thing living, because it must be a living kind of experience for the readers. When you say that I read this book and I enjoyed this book, you enjoyed simply because there had been a proper arrangement of the arguments. So data collection has been excellent. Data analysis has been excellent. But when it was put in the form of a report, and if we lack in the writing style, if we lack in the technique of writing, uh, it we have not uh, it has not served the purpose of research. Academic writing requires certain terminologies from your field of knowledge. So if it is research in sociology, if it is research in psychology, if it is research in economics, if it is research in criticism, critical theory, in any case, we are supposed to use the registers. Probably some of you know this word. A register is a specific kind of language used in a specific branch of knowledge. So we are supposed to use those technical terms while writing our report as well, because it is a kind of specialized report that you are writing, and there we are supposed to use the formal language. So language of research uh, should not be informal language, because it is an academic endeavor, and so that decorum, the word, if I use it, decorum is uh, in Sanskrit or Marathi, what we call auchitya, appropriateness. Appropriate words, appropriate language, appropriate putting of the data. So when everything is appropriate, it becomes beautiful. So beauty is something that is related with the proper uh, figuring out of our arguments. And when we talk about the element called sublime or sublimity, some of the uh, scholars from language and literature might know the idea of Longinus. That sublimity is there. 5 pillars of sublimity are there. He says that a noble mind conceives noble ideas, and these noble ideas to be put forward equally into noble expressions, which will ultimately result into nobility of the work. That also has to be kept in mind while preparing for the research draft or the research writing. Well, I would like to uh, switch over to certain issues if, that you have, and then I will continue. So now whatever we have talked about, and out of your experience that you are presently going through, if you have any queries, questions in this procedure of research, let us have a discussion on the issues that you are facing right now. Yeah, you may ask the question.
Okay, sir, I will unmute the students, then they will ask the questions.
Yeah.
So the students' mics are unmuted. If you want to ask the question to sir, you can ask directly. You can unmute your mics and you can ask the question to sir.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Doctor, and it is very much helpful. And thank you for all the efforts you put in. Look, there is a confusing idea about the research ethics when it comes to the, for example, in collecting data or in reporting or writing your argument. For example, in my research, I need to compare cultural elements between Arabic and English language. Okay, in this case, I need to find the similarities and differences between these two elements. For example, word in Arabic and word in English, and I need to find in their dictionary the meaning or the donation of these words. And I need in my research to present all this information and then comment on this on the similarities and differences. When it comes to your explanation, for example, you said it is not proper to present or to copy paste or to bring or even to rephrase from other resources. How can we deal with this very tricky situation? This one question. Another question after you're answering this question, please.
Okay, sir, can you answer this question?
Yeah. Thank you for the query.
Okay.
There are many tricky things that I admit. Now you talked about comparison between Arabic and English expressions. Am I right?
Yes,
Yes,
of
sir.
course.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now right now I do not know what your research topic is, but one thing is very sure as students of language, literature, and culture, that language is not a phenomena in isolation. Language is the product of culture, because one can never have language without culture. For example, culture is something that comes out of a commerce, and commerce is the exchange of ideas. Now, what I exchange in my group is what I experience. And I will use this word, all of us will immediately agree and pick up. Whenever there is a difference between the language of expression and language of experience, these problems occur. What I mean is, language of my experience is the day-to-day living, day-to-day exchange of ideas within a code, because language is a code of a particular community. And this community is living in a certain geographical area, certain exchange of dialogues are there, and words come out of this necessity of exchange of ideas. So whenever two languages are there, these are not just two languages, these are two cultures. These are two codes shared by different communities. So these problems are going to be there. But in translation, I hope you are having some issues with translation as well.
This is, it is not about, for me, it is to explain the cognitive or the mental space between Arabic mentality and English mentality. To come, for example, like in Arabic literature and English literature, my topic it is about some novels, like Nobel Prize laureate writer. I selected some of his novels, and there are some elements in Arabic version and English version. This has to do with the kind of mental images that cannot differ between English and Arabic. And in this area, for me to come to this conclusion or to explain or to reveal these differences, I have to go and to present all the meaning of this word or this expression in English and the meaning of this in Arabic, and what is there in English and what is not there in the other language. And after that, for me, my job to reach to a conclusion that what are the similarities and differences between Arabic mentality and English mentality. Uh, my idea is in this like I have to sometimes to write one page to go to the dictionaries, and also even from the usage of language. I know my language very well, and I know English language very well, and I find some ideas does not present in one language.
Exactly, that is what I talked about. That, see, the language of my experience and language of my expression. Okay. Now, what happens is culture and culture-specific expressions in language, culture-specific ideas in language that we represent through language. They differ, and that's why you cannot get the exact equivalent of either the mental images or words. Because I look at a particular point from my cultural perspective, the way I have been nurtured. The best word for that is conditioning. I hope you would agree. All of us are conditioned human beings. So one or the other kinds of conditions are there. And our responses, if you know this theory that is known as SR theory, stimulus and response. So when two people respond to the same stimulus, their responses differ because you are carrying the preconceived notions, the ideas that have been formed earlier. And when that happens, you cannot find a kind of equivalent in one language and same equivalent in another language. For example, in English, we talk about Herculean task. When we talk about Herculean task, it is not exactly English expression. We know Hercules and his story from the Greek mythology,
Yes,
etc. But then in Arabic, if you use Herculean task, it does not match that idea because probably most of the Arabian, let us say, most of the Indians are not familiar with Hercules. Then they may not get the idea what does it mean by Herculean. That is one point. Second one is in language, all of us know there are two basic differences of meaning. One is denotative, another is connotative. So when you go with the dictionary meaning, that is the denotative meaning. It suggests because it is a sign. But one sign, its connotative meanings cannot be there in the dictionary. And that becomes a problem in research. So for that, what I feel is you have to go with the explanatory notes that if you read some of the African novels, if you read Indian novels, for example, or novels written by the Sri Lankan or even Pakistani writers, you'll find that they have retained the words from their language as it is. And at the end, there has been explanation. Or another method that you can use is while bringing out the differences in comprehension and representation of ideas, how English people differ and the Arabic people differ in their responses. And you can have the analysis of them for the readers, that how the perspective changes, because ideas would never match, and if ideas match, then their vehicle doesn't match. Their vehicle is language, because these images are going to differ as language is culture bound and language is culture specific.
Yes, sir, sounded clear. Also, I need to know for the idea of writing the research or the article or the report. For example, when I am supposed to explain the Arabic word. For example, the writer uses a name in Arabic, and this name has many references, religious references, mythological references, and I have to write these references. And this is like references are there, and this information are there. Should I, for example, cite from a specific resource or write them as my knowledge, or and for example, this information needs two-thirds of a page. Is it proper to write it like that? To write this information about this word, and this information, it is not my own, or like I'm supposed to be the creator of this information, but it is necessary in order to explain the differences and similarities between the two languages, and to reveal what is missing in the other language. My point is it okay to write like this information two-thirds of the page? And for example, should I write them as my own because I know them already? And or should I go to a certain resource to confirm this information?
There are two things, sir. One is the knowledge that is in the general parlance. We say it is a common stock of knowledge. For example, mythologies are there. Its interpretation is there. It is certain facts are well-known facts. For that, you need not cite that it is by this or it is by that sources. But if you are citing certain specific examples, which you have resourced from some resources, it is a better idea to mention, to give the credit. You can have your explanatory note, but suppose you are citing certain quotations which are very important, even if you want to explain that how this difference is there, and somebody has already worked over that, and a particular point he has brought to the light. As a researcher, it is my duty that I should cite and I should give credit to the person for his knowledge, because he has shared his knowledge with us. So we will cite him, cite that source. It is always good to cite the sources, and it gives authenticity to your research as well. That whatever your claim is, you are proving your claim by the quotation of an established authority. So that is one point. You can, and there is no harm in quoting. There is no harm in proper citations, because it will add to the multiple references that you are giving in your research. Another point is it is always a good idea to come with one's own arguments in one's own language, because by that you will be gaining the authority, and it is quite possible that as you are quoting somebody, there is a possibility that from your research, other researchers will be quoting it, and that will be your contribution with your name, obviously, that you had come up with this idea. So both the things are there. If you really think over that, if you ponder over that, then you can come with certain very bright ideas, and you will feel that you need not depend on other resources. I mean, taking them as it is. One point I have to admit, and all of us will admit that when we are researching, we are reading a lot. And when we read, for example, see if you could, if all of us could digest this idea, nothing new is being written. For example, language is currency, just like paper currency is, digital currency is. So there are many users of it. Every word that I write has been already used. Every expression that I carry out has been already expressed. So T.S. Eliot, in one of his poems, says that we are echoing the dates. Somebody somewhere already has used these expressions. So that we have to keep in mind. What we are doing is we are bringing new light on a particular specific topic. It is not that it has not been researched. It is not that it has not been talked earlier. Maybe not your contemporary, but maybe the past writers have talked about it. So it is always a better idea that if you find the resource, you put it, give credit to them, and it will give credibility to your research as
Okay, thank you, sir. I request to all scholars that if you want to ask the question, sir, you can open your mic and ask the question to the sir. Otherwise, sir will move down. Your mics are open. Your mics are open. You can ask the question to the sir. Otherwise, we will take 10 minutes break. Okay. Your mics are open. You can ask the question to sir. Okay, sir. We will take 10 minutes break. Then we will resume again.
okay. Meanwhile, if they have any questions to jot down.
Oh, okay. If they ask the question, they will put question into the message box. Then at the end, we will take it up.
Okay.
Okay. Participant, please put off your mics. Mics are open because your surrounding sound is coming into the class. Seema Jadhav, please off your mic. Your mic is Sheikh Izaz, please off your mic.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
The surrounding sound coming into the class. If anybody want to ask any question, put the question into the message box. Sir will answer after the second session. Sir will answer the question. There are 93 students present into the class.
सबका
Hemang Mehta, please off your mic. The surrounding sound coming out of your mic. Rule number 57, Mehta, please off your mic. Otherwise, I would like to mute everyone. Mehta, please off your mic.
काय चालू आहे? सर आम्हाला ते ऑनलाईन मार्क भरायला कोणाला तर द्या ना आम्हाला हेल्प करायला. आहेत पण ते आम्हाला तर पेपर पण एवढे ते ऑनलाईन घ्यायचं पण खूप आहे ते पेपरचं. त्या लिस्ट पण तयार कर.
Yes, sir. You can start, sir, again. Prashant, sir, you can start again.
कशामुळे मिळालं काय झालं?
ते फॉर्म भरायला बुलेट केलं म्हणजे फर्स्ट सेमिस्टरला फॉर्म भरला. मग दोन्हीची आता ह्यावेळी बघले सेकंड झाले फर्स्ट नाही. Second year submission. Second year submission.
Sir, you are audible. You can start.
Well,
Yes, sir, you can start.
there has been a comment.
What, sir?
No. I'm just reading from the comment section.
Okay.
Just a minute.
Ahmed Salah has a question, sir.
Yeah. Just a minute. I'll just give one instruction because all tickets are there and everybody is coming in.
Okay, sir. Okay. You take your time.
No, I just give them instruction.
Okay. Till that you can keep your mic off.
अर्धा तास कोणाला सोडू नका. Class चालू आहे. Exam days are there.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. The question has been if you eventually come to find that your collected data unmatchable. Well, I will talk from two experiences of my own. One is when I was doing research. Another one is when my students are doing research. I mean, the research scholars. The question is very appropriate. What should I do if whatever I have collected does not match with my objectives? Related to that, I would like to give certain, these are not tips, but I would like to share the experience. That the first and foremost thing as a researcher, because probably you have just begun with your topic, what I have to define is the scope of my research. And this is something that you have done in your objectives. So scope has to be defined first. And accordingly, we are supposed to go in search of the data. Now, there are certain tricky issues with our subject. The first one is either the topic is new and except primary resources, very few secondary resources are available. It generally happens if you are very selective in selecting your topic. If the topic is quite new one, let us say the author is there, one or two books he has written. You have selected that author who is a relatively quite new one. And then you find that primary resources, 2-3 books are there that you have selected. And secondary resources are almost none. Now, in this situation, it is a boon as well as a curse. The curse is there because you do not have secondary resources with you. The boon is that it is a challenge and it is an opportunity. Because in such cases, you have to depend upon first your own analysis, interpretation, judgment of the primary sources which are available to you. Second one is certain material which is not published, either in the form of books or in the form of articles. You have to go in search of that. That is what the real research is. You can go to directly that author, because it happened with one of my students. He selected the playwright, and he was a Marathi playwright. The text was not translated in English. He was doing it in English. The text was not even published in Marathi because quite comparatively new writer had been there. Now the question is what to do with data collection, because he was so new that no research articles have been available on that text. So I said, it's all right. You go directly to that author. Fortunately, if he is alive, then it is a boon for you that you will be having a dialogue with the writer in person. You can take insights from him, and your research would be really a contribution because it is first of its own kind. Then there would be no question of plagiarism as well, because secondary resources are not available. They are not ample. Second issue is the second problem is a major problem, and that is when over-researched topic is there. For example, any Indian author, European author, And much research has taken place. A lot of research has been there. Lot of secondary material is available. Lot of secondary resources are available. Much research work has been conducted. That really becomes a problem. And that is the problem that is put here. Data is unmatchable means what? It does not match with your objective. It means that it was not collected as per the objectives. So that is the error in, you say that is a mistake in data collection. And that mistake was there because we started collecting everything bearing one or the other kind of reference to your research topic. If you collect a lot of material, hoping that it can be used somewhere, and that generally happens with any beginner. What happens is we go to library, we go to certain sources, and then start xeroxing or getting the books, just bearing one or the other kind of reference to our topic. And then it becomes a problem because when dearth of secondary data is there, it is a problem, but this is opportunity as well. When lot of data is available, the problem is what to select and what not to select. And in this confusion, you get out of the track. Because then what happens? There is very little space for you to think over it. So what you are doing is, you are reading somebody else's work all the time. It has happened with a few of my students. I asked them, at least write down one chapter. But they say, we are still reading it. We are still reading it. Now it is ocean. There is no dearth of information if a overwork or over-research topic is there. Or let us say you have taken a framework, for example, narratology in certain texts or narrative patterns. Now you will find that there are many books on narratology. There are many books on narrative patterns. Not all the information in all the text is useful for you. But what you have done is you have collected all the sources on narratology. But your topic is narrative patterns in a particular text, narrative patterns in the work of particular writer. And still there you have to, probably you know something called as funnel method in research. The funnel is there, the broad perspective, broad topic is there, and then you bring out to a particular topic. Now there lies the skill of the researcher. If you want to avoid the issue of the abundant data, flood of data, then you must be very methodic in data collection itself. If data collection is done meticulously, if data collection is done in the way that it suits to your objectives only, you will not be wasting your time. For a very simple reason that, as the question has been asked. Now what happens is, a lot of data is there, and then this data confuses you a lot. Fusion does not take place there, confusion takes place. Sometimes the contradictory data is there, abundance of data is there, and then you are not able to put forth your argument. And probably all of us go wrong in this particular aspect. I will come to my earlier point. An earlier point is, when I say I state something, if you take the responsibility on yourself, then you go into that contemplative mood, and contemplative mode, you think about your topic, you make certain judgments of yourself, and then go into reading of the data. If we take the reverse course is you collect lot of data and read through it. When you collect lot of data and read through it, your opinion is formed, but those opinions are not your opinions. Those are opinions of the other writers about even those about your subject, but the opinions are of other writers, and then opinion formation on your end is somewhere lacking. So you do not have your course of action. You have not decided what you want to arrive at. Because you have not decided, because it is not predetermined, then the comments of others led you astray. Then your job just becomes of taking everybody's comments and arranging them, and in between filling our own points or filling our certain sentences to just join the two different arguments. That becomes a dangerous practice, because at the end you will realize that you have not formulated your own course of action. And then as the days progress, you'll find that nothing actually has been written in the form of a report, nor even introduction has begun. And because the introduction has not begun, you could not move to chapter 1 or chapter 2 or chapter 3. So abundant data or data which is not related to the objectives is a real problem in research. The question, should you take it back? Well, unless and until you have put the final report, you are at the sole control of your data. So I don't see there is any problem of taking your data back or something like that. Once you understand, so the first thing that as a researcher I'm supposed to do is be a selective reader. All of us know there is extensive reading and intensive reading. Extensive reading is necessary so that you will understand the scope of your research. That, well, certain other points are there, and I must be in the knowledge of these points. But I must be very clear what are the points which will be going into my research, and what are the points I am not supposed to include them in my research. That's why scope has to be defined very clearly first. I have to understand one point very clearly, that my research cannot be all comprehensive research. It is an impossibility. For example, in 200 and odd pages, you are not going to give justice to all aspects of the text, all aspects of the writer. And that's why we talk about research topic. It is not the entire author, all the works by that author. It doesn't mean that we should not read them. We should read them, but ultimately, my research is focused in the sense that my research is related to the topic that I have selected. So that selection of topic and framing of topic is of utmost importance. Now, once your RRC is over, probably your research and recognition committee might have altered certain words in your topic as per their judgment. Maybe it has been overworked or it doesn't give the proper sense. But once the topic has been finalized, once you have made it a thesis statement, all your data collection must have a central point of your topic. Once you go wrong in data collection, it always becomes a problem in writing down the report. Because then your data doesn't support your argument. Your data neither proves it nor disproves it. And whatever, because data collection is a painful process. You have spent a lot of time, lot of energy, lot of maybe money. You have used most of the resources, and then suddenly you find that, well, whatever you have collected, it has just piled up, but it is not helping me. So to avoid this mistake, you must be very categorical and very analytical while uh, taking the data, collecting the data. So if you are methodic in collecting the data, depending upon what kind of report you have, when you talk about mythology, when you talk about say literary theory, so uh, the resources are in multiple numbers. There is no dearth of resources. What is useful for my topic, what is useful for my argument, that I am supposed to collect. I have not yet talked about selection. I'm talking about collection first. But if you collect a lot of material, then it always becomes a problem with selection. What to read, and out of that, what to select and arrange. From my mistakes, I would like to share one thing. What happens? We go on reading, and sometimes we jot down the points, sometimes we jot down the quotations, arguments, points of view. But we forget to write down the source itself there. When you are collecting the data, when you are reading the text, please write down the source there and there itself. The source is from which text we have taken this citation or this information, the writer, the publication, place of publication, the year of publication, and page number. Please make it a practice, and later on you will realize the importance of it. I realized, but by the time much water has drained out of the page. So what happens is, when after 2 years or when 1.5 years is over, and when you start writing chapter 1 or chapter 2, then you have the data with you, but by the time, because you have not put down from which book you took it, from which author you have sourced it, and you have forgotten, and then once again you are supposed to uh, take maneuver through all these kinds of things. Once again you will be going into library. By the time, maybe the book may be there, but because you have no signpost now, you have no notes about it, and then what happens is you are helpless. That the material is there, that material is useful for you, the data is useful for you, but the point is that you cannot cite them. And then unfortunately, whatever data painstakingly you have collected, you are not able to put it into your thesis. So carry those notebooks whenever you find the data, that is research the data, that also is seeking for knowledge. Make it a practice that immediately you are writing down the title of the book, the author or authors, place of publication, uh, date of publication, the publishing house, as well as page number from which uh, you have taken or sourced that data. If you put this practice, then you will understand that when you are writing the draft, it becomes quite easy to put all those citations, with all those references, and then it becomes a kind of methodic study. So that is what methodology is, what I do and how I do it. Data collection is of utmost importance because all my arguments, all my conclusions are based on data. So data collection that goes wrong, data selection that goes wrong, ultimately results into the failure of writing my project work. So that is as simple as that. Until I have put and sealed my thesis, that is, I state, I am free either to modify the data, either to, and see what, it is not that, for example, when I take the examination, all of us have taken the examination. We do not write everything that is there in a text. What we do is we customize it. So to use a word is a tailor-made presentation of data is. So data collection is as important as data presentation is. So that we have to take care. That unnecessary collection of data not only wastes my energy, wastes my time, but it leads me astray. My focus is not there. And then what happens is so many opinions, uh, so much opinion formation takes place, and researchers' contribution becomes negligible there because researchers' contribution doesn't come. And when you have spent all those 3 years, 4 years, and when you are supposed to defend, then it becomes the point that you are talking about somebody else's research. You are talking about somebody else's comments. And then the people ask you, then what is your argument in there? What is your point of view? That your point of view, that my point of view is of utmost importance. And for that, the care has to be taken about the collection of data. The selection one is either or that I have already mentioned. It is not that because it disproves my point, I should not take that. Because uh, we are presenting an argument, and an argument cannot be a linear argument, unidirectional, one directional. That is not research at all. Dif differences of opinion are there. I take all those differences of opinion and then I synthesize them. Not because this is my statement, not because this is my opinion. This is the bulk of knowledge. This is the knowledge that I am sharing with others. So my mistakes are also important. Where I have gone astray, that also is important. And that also is the part of research, that we did this experiment and we found that this is a wrong method. Your wrong method is an indication for somebody else, is a roadmap for somebody else. So we should not, what we are supposed to do is we must be very honest with our work that we are doing. We must be very selective as well, because libraries are full with the books. And then this really becomes a problem. After 1 year, after 2 years, we find that so much material is there. Now what should I do with that? And moreover, if lots and lots of quotations are there, lots of information is there, then how am I going to put it in the series of arguments? Just now we were talking about the logical presentation of our thought. Now that logical presentation gets disturbed because that flood of knowledge is there, flood of data is there. So the key that is instrumental in effective research is the selection in the data, whether primary or secondary, and mostly with the secondary. Some of the issues with modern technology, that is Google mania, we talk about, Wikipedia. So now everything is available on one click, we say, and we experience as well. What we have to understand about Wikipedia is the knowledge is there, data is there, but that data, whether it has been authorized or not, it is very difficult because it is something that can be edited. So because everything is available on the web, because there are open educational resources, it doesn't mean that whatever I read is what the authentic data is. So authenticity of data has to be judged, has to be taken into consideration. So it is always better to go with the authentic sources. These authentic sources, of course, are books, either in the print form or e-text are there. But we should be very cautious when we resource from the open access, like Wikipedia, or just Google it and find it, then take it and put it in as part of your report writing. That may lead you in trouble in many ways, because there could be, probably you know about the copyright issues also are there, and that later on that becomes a problem, that some open sources are there, they do not need, just they need a citation, but some material is there which is copyrighted, and you have to take the proper consent of the owner of that property. Otherwise, then research goes in one direction, and then you are led into the issues of uh, intellectual property rights. That also becomes a problem. So the best way is honesty is the best policy. Honesty, not just in terms of resourcing the data, honesty with oneself, that finding the cause, and then if we are honest with ourselves, then most of the problems get solved. That I would be in search of the data, that data is authentic, that data is not falsified data, uh, that data is not unauthenticated data. So if that happens, and if I go with the selective data, then most of my problems are solved, because the data is selective, and out of that selection, only references are going into my research, not the arguments. This is something that I have to take care of. Arguments are mine. Arguments are not somebody else's. The point of view is mine. It is not somebody else's. Now, either to prove or disprove, whatever it is, I'm using certain references. So it is known as a reference section. These are known as citations. One or two quotation, and then it is just proving the point or disproving somebody else's point on that particular aspect. But entire narration is mine, and that takes place only when there is integrity with myself. So that I have to take care.
Anybody wants to ask any
Yeah, yeah.
question to
The
sir?
question I would
Sir is available there, and session is open for the question, so students can ask the question.
I was talking about, there are many conventions in research. For example, what should be the length of research? How many pages should be there? 200, 300, 500, what? Likewise, how many objectives should be there? Once again, it is a question of my understanding. please try to understand that I am there in the focus. I am questioning myself, and I must be satisfied in the sense that we have our own conscience that is working. For example, any topic is there, and it is customary that we must have objectives. That's why we bring down 10, 15 objectives. It is not about the numbers. It is about the quality. There could be 3 objectives, there could be 4 objectives, there could be 5 objectives. But just one line is there, and we break that line into words and then make those objectives. We also realize that we are just putting it for the namesake, but it is not conveying. See, 2 important things in research: objectives and outcomes. They are interdependent. Your outcome is the realization of outcomes, realization of your objectives. So this is something that you are supposed to work it over before you start drafting your research. I said not start your research, drafting your report. Because by that time, you have sufficient data with you. You have gone through the data, you have assessed data, you have analyzed it, and now you go to your objectives once again. So objectives are the signposts. And if the objectives are clinically brought out, then what happens is your data collection is as per the objectives. Your analysis of data is as per the objectives. And then you will never find the problem of systematically writing the conclusion part. Now, it is the open truth. You also, if you are given a thesis, how would you read it? Because it is at the expense of the readers only. It is reader's choice. As a reader, what I will do, I will open the thesis, I will see the hypothesis, I will go through the objectives, and I will go to the conclusion. That is the simplest way of getting the essence of that text. Objectives are there and outcomes are there. If objectives and outcomes match, if objectives naturally resulted as a part of research into the outcomes, that is a fruitful research. But objectives remain somewhere else and outcomes do not match with each other, then that is a serious flaw in research. And it could lead you into trouble. So the best way to be honest in research is find out the objectives. It is not the question of numbers, it is the question of qualities. When you go through and whatever your objectives you had mentioned in the proposal need not be the same, because it was just a proposal. You initially started with that. Now the point is, once your data collection, data analysis, tabulation, your argument has been formed in a particular way, then you can once again redefine the objectives, because you have not yet put them. You get the better idea of rephrasing those objectives, and accordingly your conclusion, your outcomes will be the fruition of completion of your objectives. So objectives are of utmost importance. Number is not important. It cannot be maximum, minimum. It could be 3, 4, 5, 6. But what is important is that objectives should cover the entire scope of your research. So we have defined the scope, and as per the scope, the objectives, because these objectives really guide the researcher, these objectives guide the reader as well. This is what the objectives of this research are, and then accordingly, the reader would be guided into going through that research. But as a researcher, objectives are of utmost importance for us. Is there any other comments, sir?
Sir, have you finished, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sir. Right now, I am unmute all the students who do want to ask the question, sir. So they can ask the question to the respected sir, and sir will answer them. Okay, I unmuted all the students. They can use their mic for asking the question. Anyone having a question? If there are no any question, then I will close the session because sir is have their own work. And since from last 3 hours, she is briefing us about the research. If there is no any questions, should I leave the sir?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I would like to thanks from my side and Department of English, HRD section, and Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University that Prashant sir gave us a very important and a very innovative lecture about the research with a very calm and cool way. That is very important. And sir give us a time for that. So I would like to thanks from my side. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
If you have any screenshot, etc., please later on share to me, please one or two
Which screenshot, sir?
of these events.
Okay, okay. I will arrange it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
You should have to be stay online for that. I will take one screenshot.
Yeah, please.
Yes, I got it, sir. I will send you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You can, yes, sir. Yes. Thank you. Sir, तुमचे जास्त आभार. तुम्ही वेळेवर आम्हाला मदत केली.
नाही पण काय झालं म्हणजे आय वॉज नॉट इन दॅट फ्रेम ऑफ माइंड.
तरी तुम्ही म्हणजे खूप सुंदर एकदम शांतपणे आणि एकदम चांगल्या पद्धतीने समजून सांगितलं सर. बरेच विशेष म्हणजे हे फॉरेनर स्टुडंटचे खूप प्रॉब्लेम होते, तर त्यांना तुम्ही इंग्लिश मध्ये असल्यामुळे खूप चांगलं हँडल करून त्यांना सॅटिस्फॅक्टरी आन्सर्स दिले, त्याबद्दल धन्यवाद.
थँक्यू सर.
ओके, मी तुमच्या टच मध्ये राहील सर. तो माझा नंबर आहे. तुम्हाला जर काही मदत लागली तर प्लीज कॉल.
बिलकुल बिलकुल.
हो, ठीक आहे सर.